Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in our Fortnite video, and in today's video I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on how to win Fortnite very easily here for Season 9. I'm going to give you guys some tips on just how to win, and just how to win much easier than you guys previously are. I have two gameplays in this video. I have one gameplay where I popped off for like 15 or 16 kills and I ended up losing, and I'm going to talk about exactly why I lost that game. And at the same time, I also have another gameplay in which I won, and I'm really going to break down and explain exactly why I won the game that I did and why I lost the game that I lost, and show that you guys can win a lot more games with just a few simple tips. And before we get into the video, I have a weekly V-Buck giveaway. I'm going to be giving away V-Bucks every single Friday, and if you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you guys need to do is to drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and as well subscribe to my second channel. I post a ton of really good content on there, so make sure you guys do subscribe. Turn on my post notifications, and as well leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And if you guys would like to support me as a creator in the item shop, all you have to do is go over to the item shop, go into the bottom right hand corner, support a creator, and type in my code. My code is Young Humor. Type it in and you guys will have me supported as a creator. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so here in this gameplay, this is the gameplay that I actually ended up losing. I played pretty much perfect the entirety of the game except for the very end, which is unfortunate. I ended up making about 2 mistakes that really cost me the whole game. I think I ended up dropping about 15 kills in this gameplay before I ended up losing at the very end. So I absolutely went off. I destroyed every single player that I went against, and then I also have a gameplay that I end up winning. So I'm going to be talking about how you guys can win a lot more games in Fortnite very easily, and I really should have ended up winning this game. To be honest, I just completely choked. But there's a few key things that I wanted to touch on and talk about in this video that I think can really help you guys out a ton. And really one of the main key things that I wanted to talk about that I think is a huge problem I see a lot of players have, and I think if just one simple change, what is a little bit different than that, but the one thing that I think you guys can improve on a lot that I think is going to be costing you or really can help you guys win a lot more games is something that I've noticed every single time that I end up losing games, or if I see my friends or teammates when they end up losing the game. And the main reason they do this is they make the same mistake over and over again, and it's really not because of that. I've seen most of the time, even with myself, the majority of times that I lose the game, it's usually from the same thing. Maybe I'm over peaking, maybe I should have spent a little bit time more getting mats. Different things like that are really costing me the game, and it's one of those things that happens over and over again. And once you really find out exactly what you lack or exactly what you feel like you're losing the game to, you're going to be winning games left and right, and it's going to be super easy to win the game because the only thing you have to do is just play the exact same on how you was, except for correct a few mistakes that you make over and over again. And because you make the mistakes so many times, it's usually pretty hard to break the cycle because it becomes a habit. You constantly make these mistakes, so you really have to focus on and really understand what you need to fix in your game, and this can really help you guys out a ton and allow you to win so many games so much easier. Because honestly, when I look at it, most of the people that I play with, most of the people that end up losing their games, it's really not because they're making a handful of mistakes. They usually only make 2, 3, or maybe 4 at the very most. Just these few mistakes they could fix, and they could be winning so many more gunfights, so many more games so easily. They're really only making just a few mistakes that I feel like if they corrected, they would be able to win games left and right with no problem. And for me, I've had a few issues maybe, because for me, I like to go for a lot of kills, and I used to have a lot of problems losing games because I played a little bit too aggressive. And this game, I ended up dropping about 15 kills, and I could have had probably 16 or 17 by the time I won, but it really didn't have anything to do with me playing too aggressive, because I was able to destroy a lot of the players that I was going against without taking very much damage at all, but it ended up costing me at the end of this game, which you'll see. And one of the biggest mistakes that I made, and I think I was over peaking on one of them, but really the biggest mistake that I made is I ended up peaking or challenging gunfights that I really shouldn't have, and this is something that I've made a huge mistake on. And a lot of times what can happen is you're maybe going into a gunfight, you're trying to get some shots at another player, but you really realize that it's not worth it, because even if you are able to get a few shots on them, maybe you get 30 or 40 damage at most on them, it's not going to make that much of a difference, and you really compromise and you really give up more than you can make from that situation. And you guys are going to see exactly what I mean by that. So here in this situation, I'm building up. I have high ground. I'm playing this very well. I have about 13 kills right now, and I'm going to be going against 2 players who are right below me. I don't really make any mistakes against this team. I keep my high ground. I play very smart, and I'm not peeking too much because I still want to be able to get the shots off, but at the same time, I don't want to get shot out and then pinched by both of them at the same time. So I end up getting the knock on the first player. I'm getting a few tags on him, and the reason why I did that, and I didn't thirst him or completely finish him for a very important reason. Just for that reason alone, I got a few tags on him. I made him weak, and that basically forced his teammate to run out there because at this point in the game, there's going to be no more reboot vans. So if his teammate dies, he's not going to be able to bring him back or anything like that. So what I end up doing is I just get a few tags on him and makes his teammate play a little bit more aggressive and a little bit in a way that he really shouldn't have, because if I wouldn't got any shots on his teammate and his teammate would have crawled under a wall or anything like that, then there would have been no chance of that guy running outside and it would have been a much longer gunfight. So a really good play right there. And so here I end up making my first mistake, which is kind of lame. I end up having high ground. I peek over and I got quick scope by this player. I really should have been peeking. I think that was completely my fault. And the best time to go for shots is when they're running up, not really when they're sitting at the bottom already looking up at you. Because in this game, you do have to peek quite a bit to get any shots off. So if they're already looking up at you at the bottom, it really sometimes isn't worth the peek. And for here, I end up getting shot again. I really should have rotated earlier, and that's one thing you guys have to consider as well when you're using the launch pad. It's so easy. It is so easy to get shot out of the air. There's almost nothing you can do. And it's just one of those things that if you're using a launch pad, you want to try to get down as quick as possible. And as you can see, I ended up losing the game because I peeked over when I really shouldn't have. I knew the other players in the game still had shield, everything like that. So there really was no chance of me ever getting a knock on a player. Yes, I could have gotten a little bit damage off on them, but there's really not much I could have done overall. I couldn't have finished off any players, so at that point, it really wasn't the smartest decision. And what I should have done instead is waited for all the other players to fight or to land already, and then go for a challenge on there while the other 2 teams are fighting. That would have been so much easier because the other 2 teams would have been fighting. I would have had a third party on them, and it would have been so much easier and would have gave me the best chance of winning in that game. And I probably would have won the game very easily. So in this gameplay here, I end up winning, and this was a lot easier of a win. And I did have a little bit less of kills. I think I only had about 11 or 12. But either way, I did not make the same mistakes that I did in the previous gameplay where I end up over peeking and challenging gunfights that I really shouldn't have challenged. And in my previous gameplay, if I had a little bit more HP, really the best way to go about it was just to rush. It would have been so much better and would actually have been less risky because, like I said earlier, I was over peeking, and the best way to just prevent from that happening is just to rush. And really the main reasoning behind that is because when you're peeking and want to go for shots on other players, you never know when there could be other people beside you to the left or to the right that you have to worry about. So the best thing that you can do is just rush the other player. You don't have to worry about getting shot out from all these other directions. And even if you do get shot, in that case I end up getting sniped, it's very difficult to hit someone while they're moving. Of course, it still happens from time to time, but it's really not that often you get sniped while you're running unless you're going in a straightforward path. But if you're in a gunfight fighting another player, a lot of times you aren't going to get sniped while you're moving at the exact same time. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. Sometimes it is better to just rush the other player, especially if you're ever in a situation where it's a little bit more difficult to get shots on them without having other people end up joining in on the fight. And here you can see in my gameplay, I end up taking things a lot slower. So I ended up getting a tag on a player and I ended up trading shots. And the best thing to do when something like that happens, especially if you're going against someone who's using a combat shotgun as well, because the combat shotgun does about 77 damage or 73, really depending on the rarity that you have. So in between that range, so if you ever get in a gunfight where you're fighting someone who also has a combat shotgun, if you're anything below 70 HP, or even in the 70s, it could be a little bit risky challenging that gunfight without getting off your heels. So it's a lot better to get off your heels first, because if you don't, what's really going to happen is it's going to be more of a 50-50 gunfight, and you really don't want that to happen. A lot of times if your accuracy is really good, you're going to end up winning in those fights, but the best way to just prevent from anything like that happening is even if you are in a gunfight and get a shot on the other player, if your HP is around the 70 range, it's really just best that you get off some HP instead of trying to go for the challenge. That's just one of the things that I've been doing, and it's been working out really good because the combat shotgun, since the update, because when it first came out it was really inconsistent, but after they made an update where they made it very consistent, it does hit for or pretty much it hits for the same damage just about every time, Sometimes you'll have the occasional 30 damage or so, but most of the time you're going to be hitting for about 70 just because of how small the reticle is and it's very consistent weapon. So if you get shot from a combat shotgun that's anywhere closer range or mid range, you can just expect to get hit for about 50 to 70 damage. And with that being said, that's wrap it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys liked it, make sure you guys do drop a like, it helps me out. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.